Hey everybody, Simon here. It is Friday. Well, I guess by now, since it just turned to midnight, it is Saturday morning, May 17th, 2014, and I think it's time to do another Harmonia log, Harmonia devlog. I've been sitting on version 1.3 for a little while, and while it feels ready for release, I am going to stick to the June 1st deadline, the June 1st release date, because I'm enjoying the opportunity to just fix a lot of balance issues, and fix some miscellaneous bugs, and add a lot of polish that I otherwise do not have the time to do because there's a deadline looming ahead. But now I can just kind of take my time, sip my coffee, and get everything nice and ready to go, and add a few little miscellaneous features that I've never had the time to add. Before kicking off here, I just want to thank anyone who is watching this video. I want to thank anyone who does watch these little videos that I do. I know they're few and far between based on the handful of views that I get, but it does mean something to me that there are people who are interested in this project, which doesn't have very many eyes, but I'm passionate about it and excited about it. Even though I sound very tired all the time, is because I am relentlessly working on this thing. My schedule is basically wake up, go to work, go home, work on this, go to bed, rinse, repeat. Work on Harmonia, rather. And in my commute time on the train, I have a half an hour each way, I'm working on Harmonia. And it's been like that way for a long time, for a year or so. And the hard work feels like it's paying off, because everything that is in... Okay, most 1.3, version 1.3 feels like a very close to feature-complete alpha version. As in, once this one is rolled out, the next version will probably be the feature-complete alpha. And everything else after that will just be additional content and just minor additions that just kind of add more stuff to the game. And at that point, the project will get a lot more eyes, because I'm going to be sending it out a lot more, because it will feel more like a complete game. I don't want to show anybody development footage. And so yeah, once again, anyone who is watching this and follows the development process, I hope you find it interesting. And just like to thank you for support, especially if you are anyone who has followed this project since the Kickstarter 2 years ago. Which, I don't know if I said this before, I'm always considering doing that again, and always planning for that. And now that the game has like a real solid demo that's, I feel, more than just a demo, I feel this is a real thing, like a real game at this point. I think it's time to really, might as well be fundraising to do some real content and crank a real game out of this, like a real fleshed out RPG or even an MMO. Which, by the way, the engine is still designed to be. And as a matter of fact, it's even better than it was before at that, but I'll get to that later. So, there is a lot in this new version, so I just want to go down, hopefully real quick, the new stuff that's in here. First and foremost, magic is in the game, after I've been promising to do it for like 4 months now. I finally sketched out all the technical details and edited all the architecture for syncing skills with the client, blah blah blah, made the artwork. And now the magician can use his magic, his or her magic, the priest can use his or her magic, and the monk doesn't have the buffs and debuffs that they'd like them to have, but they are a fully playable class that is still very useful, and they fill a very useful role. So that is really fun. One thing that's interesting about the magic system at the moment, originally there was this complicated, it was clever, but too complicated system of having like these two mana pools. Like, you'd have a quick access mana pool, so you could cycle cast something really quickly, and then you would have a reserve mana pool which would be used if you were running around and resting, and you recover like an extra 10 spells worth of mana after several minutes. So if you were well rested and you went into a battle, then you would be able to unleash lots of damage and lots of healing before you went down to regular cycle casting, if that makes any sense. But those were from days of yore, when you controlled one character at a time, and you had the time to manage all these complicated little systems. Now I've just gotten rid of magic points altogether, and I'm so happy for it, because it just feels so simple. I just saved my magician should go use a freeze spell on this ogre, and then he just starts using a freeze spell on the ogre, and I can just leave him alone without micromanaging one specific character. Because what would be horrible is if a warrior, you can just say go attack everybody, but the magician you have to scrutinize every single little move that he makes because he's constantly running out of MP. That would be horrible. So MP's gone. I'm very happy. Cooldowns will probably have to be out there for certain skills, like if you have a bash somebody to the ground skill. Obviously, you can't do that every single round, or else they'd be immobile, and it would be the cheesiest thing in the universe. But, that being said, extra skills will always be cranked out, I hope, when I have the motivation to make extra skills. It's just a matter of adding a bunch of extra little features to do extra miscellaneous little things. Buffs and debuffs, but for the most part, everything is working and, fully usable, so this is cool. So magic. And, 5 spells in the game, by the way. 4 elemental spells and, heal. Bullet point number 2. The footage you are watching this video is of the Tower War minigame, or more than minigame, I guess it's like a deathmatch mode. But, I've spent more time fleshing it out and added a much, much more useful, I should say, not useless map that's actually fun to play rather than just like a tech demo. Where there are 2 possible lanes you can go, and then 1 extra lane for the bird soldier flying character, which, as it turns out, really opens up the gameplay and adds a lot of different strategies. And after playing maybe 20-30 rounds of the game against bots, which have reasonably good AI, and with a friend, it's still difficult to pin down a consistently effective winning strategy. Balancing defending versus attacking is tricky. Classes are distributed randomly. Whenever a character spawns, it's a random class, which makes things very interesting because you end up in some odd scenarios, like you'll have all warriors or all priests or nothing but archers, which is quite useful in some situations. They tend to die quickly, so not useful in all situations, but all priests is an interesting combo. I had to add like a special debuff other priests debuff to make sure they couldn't be healed thing to their attack, so that priest versus priest wasn't just this endless stalemate. Hopefully that sentence made sense. They have a debuff. Things can't get healed when they're hit. But this has turned out to be a lot of fun, and so I've just been playing it and using that as kind of a sandbox for new gameplay ideas. Because up until now, it's been a lot of just get this system working, get magic working, get combat working, fix this bug, make sure the camera's doing what it's supposed to do, blah blah blah. Add this layer of architecture, programming-wise, sync assets, downloading, map stuff, rendering engine. None of this is specifically fun, and none of this is gameplay, really. Well, it's gameplay, but none of it is game design, I should say, or at least not in a macro sense. And this game is very macro, and it opens up a new aspect that I haven't experimented with before, and kind of fulfills the what do I want to say? Fulfills the vision of what Harmonia could be, where you have gigantic, not giant, reasonably large armies fighting against reasonably large armies, and you have to constantly be managing your positioning and making sure you are defending who you need to defend, attacking who you need to attack with the proper characters, constantly maintaining your force and with several characters at once, and it really works, which I'm very happy to say. I'm having a lot of fun, at least I'm having a lot of fun, hopefully other people will too, with random wacky parties that I wouldn't expect to have, trying to take out the other team as effectively as possible, and knowing when to retreat, and staying in formation, making sure I don't get surrounded by other characters, and being out of range of archers, and running away to bait other characters. Little things like this, little details, I think make the game really fun. There has been, I guess, suggestions of really expanding the range of all the units, but so the archer can attack at a really great distance, so melee is only melee. And then beyond that, it's like a four grid distance or something like that. I'm kind of rambling here, I'll cut this to a close, but everything right now is still really tight. The maximum range for an attack is 3, below that is 2, and then 1. Wow, 3 options. And that keeps it really tight, and it makes positioning really, really important, which is one of, I guess one of the, part of the mission statement? Something like that? Part of the original design of the game. So that is worked out very well in my opinion. I'm so happy about that. So, Tower War, it's really fun. Now you can select your team, ha ha ha. It is fully multiplayer. I have a test server running. It is so super stable, it is so super fast, it's been running for several days, and now it is like on round 300. It's taking up a whopping 1% CPU usage on the server it's running on. Because the game is not ultra fast paced and like it's ultra fast paced, it's not a Twitch game where your reaction time is ultra important. The lag does not matter, so you can play anywhere in the world and the game just still runs nice and smoothly. Everything multiplayer wise is shaping up, and kind of nice that I still have delusions of turning this game into an MMO. Very realist, very serious delusions of that. So keeping that running very efficiently is very, very good. So bullet point number 3, lots of miscellaneous upgrades. If you look at the HUD, a couple new things there. First and foremost, not everything is big. There are the characters who are not your own are tiny. They are contracted, and you can expand them by clicking a little button on the edge of the screen. And now, because of this, now you can actually watch what's happening without having to make your window gigantic. That was a huge design flaw, but now by default, it just shows the percentage of health, which is very useful to know. If you have the mouse over anything, it shows you additional info, like not just their health percentage, but you get the numbers for that, level if applicable, which is applicable in the battle arena, not in the Tower War game. The other addition to the HUD, other than bug fixes, is you'll notice that there used to be a little text label for the class of the character, and that has been replaced by little red and blue icons. The blue icons... excuse me. The blue icons on the left side are bonuses. The red icons are penalties. The bonuses, there are, I think, 7 different bonuses there can be. Like the sword represents strength, the shield represents defense, a guy running represents speed, a big fat guy represents their health, like their endurance, I suppose, and a few more. Magic attack and magic defense, and also movement speed, which is relevant to knights and archers. Archers are slow, knights are very, very fast because they are centaurs. So now, instead of knowing how the classes work against each other, like just intuitively knowing, oh, for example, I have studied the knight class, I know that it is good against X and Y and Z, you can just look at the little icons and see that it's a centaur, know that it's a knight, and it's very obvious that the knight can be taken down with magic because he has 3 red magic shields, which mean he has 3 magic penalties. At least I think he has that much. The priest has 4 red shields, which means they are so ultra squishy, which I find hilarious, but it had to be so. Other little upgrades, just lots of bug fixes, annoying. Some things were crashing the game, those don't happen anymore. Added a whole new slew of bugs to look at, so I am looking forward to that. You can now, much needed feature, the mouse is now locked into the window when you are playing, so you can drag the camera around by moving the mouse to the edge of the screen. That is so much nicer than what was there before, where you just couldn't do that. You'd use WASD, which is still, of course, super useful. One other big thing that is new. There have been a lot of, I mentioned this before, a lot of efficiency upgrades, a lot of optimization that makes the game run a lot faster. Theoretically, I'm not supposed to be doing this. That seems to be kind of the word on the street as far as programming goes. Don't make everything optimized and efficient until the very last stages, but there were a lot of things that could have been done to the rendering pipeline at least, and now that runs 50 to 60 frames per second on my laptop versus 30 to 40. I'm very grateful for that. And the server running much faster means I can keep pushing it more, and like I can run a 24 versus 24 bot match and not really feel it. Before, this would actually grind the game to a halt. Now it doesn't in the least. Yeah, there have been a few other things, just random bug fixes. Let's see. So bullet point number 4. This is the last thing. I mentioned this already. The game is pretty much ready, very nearly ready for an alpha stage. There are a couple things that I want to do, like have a launcher that will auto-update the game, so anyone who, now that the game is nearly in a relatively feature-complete state, I want anyone who looks at the game every time they run it to be able to grab the newest features and stuff, rather than having to constantly monitor the website or follow me on Twitter, blah blah blah. Which means making what I've dubbed like a mothership server that is going to manage multiplayer games, kind of like a miniature Battle.net. It's just going to be a matchmaking service. Make sure that players download the new versions when it's available, little things like that. News updates. And then from there, that should be enough to just send the game out into the real world, like, into a wider circle of people, and then, let the entire world enjoy the wonderful thing that is Harmonia, and all of its various little mini-games. Voice cracking. So, I think that's it. That's the state of things. The state is good. I'm enjoying it. And, excited for releasing 1.3. Excited for, I guess, Alpha 1.0. My versioning system has always been kind of bogus, but I'm sticking with it anyway, just because I don't want to... Like, I've already made the mistake, I don't want to go and try and backtrack it and make things even more confusing, so... Tech Demo 1.3, game is still not even playable alpha, hahaha! It should really be like version 0.3, and then the next one will be like 0.4, and then eventually be 0.2020 or whatever, I don't know, before version 1.0 is finally released. Anyway, I'll quit my rambling since somehow I've gone on to 40 minutes here, but hope you enjoyed this little video. Thanks for following all the development thus far, and hope you, like I do, look forward to the future of this little humble game of mine, and of Baroque Works. Baroque Creations, rather. I'm very tired, as usual. So have a wonderful evening. I will talk to you later. Bye.